Hello and welcome back to the interview stage here in the Knowledge Center at Itron Utility Week 2018. And I'm joined now by Marina Donovan, who's the VP Global Marketing and Public Affairs here at Itron. Marina, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Resourcefulness Report.
Yes.
But before we get into that, I just wanted to bring up, it's been just over a year for one, but thereabouts for the other. There are two large acquisitions that Itron made.
Yes.
You're here as a result of one of them,
Yes.
Silver Spring and Converge. Can you tell us a little bit about how that's worked, the cultural integration as well as the business integration?
Sure. Well, yes, I came from Silver Spring. I formerly was head of marketing there. And I think things are going very well. Acquisitions and integrations are never easy. But I think what's worked really well in our case is the fact that the cultures are very similar. Cultures of innovation and collaboration. And we ultimately are here to serve our customers. So I think it's been really harmonious for the most part.
And that's a big observation for me as well. This is just walking around. I mean, I've been covering this event for 4 years now. When those big acquisitions happen, you always feel like, oh, could this change the DNA of the business? But it really doesn't feel like that. It feels like it's almost
like an energy charge?
Yeah.
That's how we feel about it too. Yeah. You can feel the harmony and you can feel the energy at this event, and I think that's because people in general feel good about it, and the teams feel good about working with each other, and it's been really, good from that perspective. Yeah.
And what have the customers said? I mean, what's that feedback been like?
Yesterday was a big day because we shared our vision and strategy for our Converge network. And there were a couple of takeaways with that. One is no customer will be left behind. And the second one is that we're really going to be working around the Wi-Sun-based technology standard, and that will ensure interoperability for customers. So it's a process, but I think people felt positive about that, and we're going to do our best to do that.
Let's now talk about the Resourcefulness Report.
Sure.
Because it's a big thing that Itron do.
Yep.
It's a global report. There are a lot of energy that goes into it, surveys and so on. Can you tell us a little bit about why you guys do the report in the first place?
Okay. And this is our fourth one as well. I think it really ties to our purpose, and that is to create a more resourceful world. And we look at resourcefulness as, the wise and careful use of our vital resources. And so we do that, and then we've got, four main objectives. One, we want to explore the dynamics with consumers and with utilities. Secondly, we want to gain insights into how our industry is evolving. Our industry is transforming, right? Our customers are transforming, the vendors are transforming, and then we want to compare the research with previous years and see how perceptions and sentiments have changed over time. And then finally, we want to focus on the three pillars of resourcefulness, which are efficiency, sustainability, and effectiveness.
When you look at all of this, and the report is a massive body of work, right? So we're not going to be able to go through it all in the 10 minutes that we've got here.
Right.
But what are some of the big surprises that you've taken out of the report? I know you're talking a bit about it in the in the keynotes that you were doing as well. Can you just share some of those with us?
Yes. So, and I just want to recap. So we did survey over 1,000 informed consumers and 1,000 utility executives in 10 countries. So it was a nice mix of people to talk with. But I think a couple of my surprises were for utilities, renewables was the number one unmet need. That was like, wow, they're seeing that. And consumers want that as well.
And from a utility perspective, that was investment in renewables, right?
Yeah.
It's just tipped over.
Right. They see it as an unmet need, and so hopefully there'll be action, taken as a result. Another thing that I saw was just that consumers are really ready for smart cities, and they see that as a path forward.
When you look at the report and you look at the patterns and the trends, over the last 4 years, I don't know, are there any that are going either in a different direction or where you're seeing actually things accelerating? I mean, you mentioned smart cities, but
right.
But there are other areas within the report where I felt like, certainly from my reading of it, we're getting at this tipping point of technology adoption and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I think, there's so many things, but one of the areas I found interesting was consumers expect utilities to make more investments in infrastructure. Of course they want to do that, but the fact that consumers, they're using Uber, they're used to technology. So like, hey guys, we want to see you using more innovative technologies. The other thing that came up was that utilities say, you know what, we need to do a better job of educating our customers, our consumers. And of course they already have programs, but the world is changing, so we need to do that in a different way. And things like social media, more personalized programs, like demand response. The majority of people in the survey said, yes, we would do demand response, because one thing that has remained constant is the consumer wants to lower their bills. But they can do that once they've got that power with demand response programs.
Is that one of the takeaways for Itron? Because I would imagine another reason for doing a survey like this is to be a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of getting ready to deliver to utilities the products that their consumers want.
Absolutely. And it's important to always stay in touch.
When you look at this report and you look at the capability that Itron have now got, again going back to your first answer with the acquisitions and so on, what type of challenges do you see ahead that you are gearing yourselves up to kind of solve and help utilities tackle? Is it really around this digitization and communication with the customers, or is it also about the networks?
Well, I mean, obviously the networks is key, right? I mean, and Itron has transformed as a result of these acquisitions, right? We are really a much more prominent player in industrial IoT, and you can create a common network infrastructure and build the applications on top of that. So, but I think a big need, and there's some utilities today that are already doing this, is leveraging big data. And I think that's the opportunity to ultimately improve customer service and use that data to just improve the quality of life for their citizens.
And on that data side as well, going through that report, that seemed to be like a big area for the utilities in terms of leveraging that big data.
Yes.
And is that something where you at Itron can actually help, because it's one of those, it's a skills issue, not just a data analysis issue, isn't it?
Right. And and we certainly have offerings today in the areas of revenue assurance and theft detection and things like that.
I want to go back to the report again, because it is a massive thing. Mm-hmm. Are there other things that you'd like to draw out of it? Because I asked you about surprises, which is I would say a typical journalist questions like what's the surprise, right? But what are the other things that you took when you were reading the report in terms of that you'd want to share with the audience watching as well? Yeah,
like I said, smart cities came up. I think it was about 80% of the consumer says, yes, we want smart cities, and we are expecting these applications because consumers now are used to using technology, right? They're on, like I said, they're on Uber, they're buying stuff on Amazon on their phone, they're conducting their life off their mobile device. So they're asking for different things like, hey, can you make my traffic situation better? Can you help me find a better parking spot? I want to breathe better air. And the good news is that with this connected infrastructure that we're providing, typically cities start with streetlights, which provides the network canopy. And then you could add other applications that your citizens care about. And of course, the number one for citizens has been public safety. So having the light, you can dim the lights to save energy, but then when someone goes underneath them or rides their bike at, late at night, it'll brighten, which is safer.
And is that where you feel that the utility is uniquely placed? Because it's not just about providing a digital solution.
Yeah.
It's also very much anchored in infrastructure. And
yes.
The utility manages so much of that infrastructure.
Yes. Yes.
Are you seeing a trend that the utilities are trying to do more with that and behave in a different way, not just, and I'm being very glib here, here you go, here are your electrons, now pay me for it.
Well, I mean, the report didn't touch on that, but some of the conversations I heard this morning were about how utilities are really uniquely positioned because they are so connected to the citizens, more so than the cities. And so it was suggested that cities really need to work with their local utilities and partner together to figure out what the needs are of the community and work together to create not just a smart community, but smart citizens. Empower your citizens.
And, with the report, and it's called a Resourcefulness Report, and we've been very heavy on the electric side of things.
Yes.
Water.
Yes, water
thing,
management,
right?
Yep, came up as like the number one, yep.
And how do you see that being integrated as well? Because I did a interview with Bernadette Hauser, who was saying that actually we're starting to share networks between water and electricity, yes. And that convergence.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and as the report talked about, consumers think that utilities are being wasteful, and utilities agreed in the survey. And I think the number one reason was antiquated systems. And so, Itron does have a solution to detect those leaks and help, because it not just amounts to waste, but just lost revenue as well. So definitely there will be an integration, and in some cases we're working with, cities and utilities on different elements of electricity, gas, and water.
And also, I would imagine with all the data that you've got, actually detecting those leaks doesn't mean you have to put in a huge amount of sensors. There's new ways of doing it with the data analytics and so on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with wireless connectivity, it's a lot easier than it used to be.
It's going to get easier.
It's not all the lines and
yeah. And final question. What do you think are the key challenges for this industry going forward? It seems to me this big move towards digitization, the conversation around data analytics has become more about predictive. There has been a shift. What do you see going forward?
Well, I think, in the study, that I think one of the biggest obstacles was just the regulation. I think we need to do a better job of educating all the stakeholders and arming them with the tools. Like with consumers, it's about educating them on how they can, anything from saving money on their bills to advocating for smart cities, and then it's also for working with local government to do the same, to get them up to speed on all the innovative technologies and solutions out there. It is hard, but I think if you've got the right vision and you've got the right leadership in government that understands it, and that's why we've done things like this Itron experience here, where we've really taken you into these different scenarios of an urban environment, a suburban environment, a rural, and you can see all the different solutions like you did with, I think that helps.
Yeah. Do you think half the challenge is actually bringing it all to life and everything? Because it seems to me that, it's been a common narrative, both on camera and off camera, that, hey, the regulation needs to move faster.
Yeah.
But do we as an industry need to do a better job of bringing it to life to the regulators?
I think so. We tend to, as technologists, we tend to just talk about the technology and then you've quickly lost the person. And so I think the things like we've done with the Itron experience take it up a level to here are the problems we're solving.
And I think on that note, we will leave it. Otherwise, I'll get told off for talking to you for too long, and I feel like I could carry on for a long time. Thank you very much for watching this interview at the Knowledge Center stage here at Itron Utility Week 2018. Thanks again for tuning in.